So right now what I'm doing is taking this bolt off for the engine mount so that I can jack this engine up and actually get to this engine mount. We need to take this engine mount off, so we need to lift this engine up so that I can get to this bolt here. I'm removing control arm, so it's behind this big engine mount. I will need to jack this engine up with the jack so that I can remove this. So what I actually have to do is cut these bolts here because this has come loose. This bolt doesn't have a nut, so I'm going to use a hacksaw, cut this bolt, and then I'm going to replace it with some new bolts that I bought at Canadian Tire. This one and the other side as well has also came loose. So that's something to remember when you're working on Toyota Camry, removing the control arm, that these when you're removing the engine mount, those bolts can spin on their own as well. They haven't been welded. I'm not sure why Toyota wouldn't just weld those in place. If you have a welder, you could also do that, but where I'm working outside, I don't have access to a welder, so I'm just gonna cut them. So I ended up snapping the little mini hacksaw. It just came loose and bent, so I'm trying to tighten that back up, but I was actually able to get the vice grips on that bolt, so it's actually spinning. It's actually, the vice grip is holding it while I loosen it some more. The bolts are very kind of rusty and long, so they're difficult to get off without the top spinning, but with this holding it, I should be able to finish it because the bolt's almost off now. Alright, so I was able to cut that off. It started to spin even though I was gripping it with the vice grip, so I had to return the blade, or return the saw and get a new one. It's lifetime warranty at Canadian Tire, so I got a new one and just finished cutting the bolt. So there's the engine mount. I got my new bolts here ready to go in that will actually be able to use a 19mm on them, so I'm just going to replace the bolts. So now what I'm doing is I've already got this bolt off, so I will just remove this last bolt, pop off the control arm, and put the new one on. So I'm using a strong arm, what you call this, a strong arm, with a 22 to remove that control arm bolt. And I also sprayed my what we call liquid wrench on it for a few days, just to get some. That's why it's oily in there. See how it's dry there and the oil's all over, because I've been spraying it with liquid wrench for a few days to get, hopefully it would creep inside of the bolt threads and not be so rusted in there. It would have a little bit of oil fluid film so that it can spin easier. Now I've got all the bolts out. I'm gonna grab. See if this control arm should just pop. Oh, I'll just use a wrench and just pull that out of there. Pry that out. So I'm just using a screwdriver to pry this out. You can use a crowbar if you have one. It's just kind of wedged in there. And I bought this car used, and the person never replaced these. It was very loud knocking noise. So I had my sway bar bushings replaced for an inspection, and look, you can see the ball joint, or I mean the control arm bushing. Very much needed it as well, as you can see as I try to remove the control arm. So sometimes you can, some garages will use the you want to keep this piece for after, for replacing it. And sometimes you can some people will replace that bushing, but most garages prefer to replace the whole control arm, as it's less labor, and you would also have to replace this anyway, so most often you'll just replace the whole control arm when you're replacing it yourself. But yeah, that's how bad that's not supposed to be torn off like that. That was really loud going over bumps. Anyway, I'm gonna finish removing this out of here. Alright, so that's out. Just cleaning, wiping this off before I replace it with the new one. Here's the new one. Bushings in place. Still. There's slided right in. Now I just gotta put the bolts back on and use this as well. So this just slides over this, like that. On the inside again. So as you might have guessed, this cheap control arm is a little bit, dimensions are not exact. So as you can see, there's this bolt is wedged against the side there. This one's in. Well, okay, I've got these bolts in. Now I gotta put this one in. So when you go to put this third bolt in here, you can actually take something from the top, if it's off, if it's not on the right angle, put it in and adjust it so that it will enter from the bottom. See, because you can adjust the bushing. Right now it's not on the correct angle to go in, so I'm going to put something on the top and redirect it. You're jacking up your motor, y'all. Remember this here wire is connected. You can see I almost jacked it too much, but you don't want to rip that, or else you should unplug it first before you jack it up. That's your CO2 sensor. Just plugs in right there. So I was able to get that bolt in. Now I'm just going to tighten them all down. Alright, they're going in smooth. At least I think they're going in. I hope so. Might need two hands. So what you want to do, if it's continually spinning and not going down, you don't want to hit it. You don't want to really put much pressure on it, because you don't want to strip it in there. You want to kind of like push it so that it can get in the hole straight, because the only thing that's causing it not to go into the hole is that it's off even. It's not, and it's being forced this way. So what you really want to do is kind of hit it up while you're trying to like hit it so that this is no longer forcing pressure on that side, and it's even. If you could hit it with something while your friend tightens it, it would probably be the best. Someone would spin it while you repeatedly hit this, so that it can find itself into the hole. And you want to get it started properly. You don't want to force pressure down on that and try to force that in there, because you might strip it, bugger the threads, and you don't want that, because it won't be able to go in the hole ever after that. Alright, so what I did was I took this bolt out and I tightened these two up first. So I'm going to do this one last. Don't tighten them all the way so that they have a little bit of room to move around. So that when you're adjusting this one. Alright, so we were able to get it all, new control arm, and we got the whole hub on. So it's looking good. Got the dust cover on. Got these type bolts tightened up. Just need to put the brake on. We got everything bolted up. Brakes back on. Looking good. Alright. So this is the passenger side. What I'm looking at here is this bolt here. One that I'll have to do. I guess actually the only bolts I have to worry about is that one. This one for this motor mount will have to be removed so that we can get in behind and get to this and the other, of course, that are in behind that. And these three right here. The only bolts that I need to worry about, actually, at all. So, I'm gonna get started. So I'm actually jacking up on a bar here, but as they say, do not jack up on your oil pan. Whatever you do, because as you can see, it's quite thin. You don't want to puncture your oil pan, that's for sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this brake, rotor, and caliper so that I can actually get the strong arm into these bolts, because otherwise it has nowhere to turn for leverage. And on this side, the same thing. It would be nice to be able to start here and then turn, because at this point it's hard to get it started. Where I don't have the ratchet or anything, I just have the strong bar. I can't get latched onto the bolt, so what I'll do is I'll remove the brake so that it gives me the ability to start from here, boom. And also to start on this one, I could also, it would be nice to, I don't know, I might need the extension so that I can, we need an extension, but I'm not sure if that was out of the way. Yeah, the extension would be nice so that I could bring this down under here. Start. Wonder if I could come up through there, maybe. Yeah, I think I will need that short stub extension, but anyway, I'm going to remove this first. You're going to start with your 14s on top of the brakes, then you're also going to need your 17 to remove the actual caliper itself. Alright, so I removed the brake caliper, and I removed this dust guard so that I could get my wrench in there easier, and it's still not very much access for me to turn this wrench. It's because, see, it's popping off. If I think I'm not next, I'm gonna take these two big bolts off, drop this knuckle down, the hub, and that will give me a little bit more of a access point so that I can continue loosening up this bolt here. I mean, it's on, it's just that it's on a bad angle with the axle, so when the knuckle and hub drop down, this axle will no longer be giving me restriction, so that I will actually be able to hook onto that nut better at a better angle. And I'm just hoping it will give me a little bit more access to twist it off. But I mean, it's just these two big bolts, so it's not that bad, so I might as well do that because it's better than twisting at a bad angle and stripping the head of that nut or that bolt. It ended up being a good idea removing that because it gives me a lot more room to work. As you can see, I can get the wrench on, start it here underneath where the hub knuckle was, and I can start spinning with the strong arm. And in the same fashion on this side, I'll throw the hub knuckle on that end, the edge, and have more access this way than this bolt over here. I'm getting it, I cleaned it off, the dirt, and I sprayed a little liquid wrench in there so that the threads would have a little less friction coming out, and that seems to have helped a little, but it's still coming out hard. Still yet to work on the other one. Alright, so I got that bolt out, got both bolts out, and I put the new control arm on. I kind of put the knuckle back in just to hold it so that the control arm could come off. It slid right out. It was very worn out. As you can see, it's almost falling apart. That bushing's almost falling out. So if the bolt came right out, and yeah, we're just putting it back together. So what I didn't record was I grabbed the bar, the flat part of the control arm here with a pair of vice grips, and twisted it to adjust it so that it went in a lot better on this side than the first side. And went in smooth. The bolts went down smooth. So I'm just tightening it up, putting everything back together. Alright, I got it all done. Got the axle nut tightened on. Had to replace that one, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. And gotta come back to it anyway. For a tie rod, gotta replace the tie rod. And yeah, so everything's done. And I'm happy. Altogether took me 1 week. 1 week. So that's because that's a new, I had to buy all my new tools and everything, and I didn't know what I needed. This is my first time fixing it myself with my own tools. Basically started from scratch. I think I bought everything other than a 19mm wrench I had. Basically everything. So that's the 22mm socket, 22 wrench, the 19 socket, the 17 socket, the 1/2" drive ratchet, the 1/2" extension, the 1/2" extension, the 1/2" strong arm, and a lot of stuff comes into mind when you get down and when you start working and you realize you need something like a vice grip or locking pliers. Stuff like that comes to mind once you get down there. 14mm for the brakes, for the small bolts. But yeah, now that I've got it, I usually drive Toyotas, so I have a lot of the Toyota tools that I need, so I'll keep those tools for next time. Have a good day.